At the beginning of the story, we see a boy named Pwek, and today is his first day in prison. Pwek spent his entire childhood surrounded by criminals and drug dealers. His mother used to sell drugs to support their family. Because of this, teachers at school would often embarrass him in front of all the other kids. Soon, the police caught his mother red-handed. After that, she was sentenced to 24 years in prison, and since then, Pwek has been living as an orphan. One day, when he went to the nearby grocery store to get something, a man standing there started saying nasty things about his mother. He even went as far as saying his mother was a prostitute. That's when Pwek's anger exploded. Pwek's girlfriend, Per, told him to leave the place. But when the man told Per he'd make her his mistress too, Pwek couldn't stand it, and without thinking twice, he shot him right there. After this, we see Pwek in an interrogation room where a police officer is brutally beating him. Now, since Pwek was under 18, he wasn't sent to a prison for a harsh sentence, but rather placed in a youth detention center for rehabilitation. You might think life would be easy here, but unfortunately it wasn't. This place was just as bad as a real prison. The only difference was that the inmates here were much younger boys. Here too, the powerful oppressed the weak, and humanity was nowhere to be seen. Along with Pwek, another boy named Fluke was brought here. His crime was that he was caught selling drugs. As soon as they entered, the warden asked them a few questions, but when he didn't see fear in Pwek's eyes, he decided to punish him. The warden said in a stern voice, "I don't care where you came from, but if you dare challenge me, I'll make your life here a living hell." He took them to a changing room and told another inmate named Veer that it was their first day. "Straighten them out," Veer proudly replied. "Sir, don't worry. By the time we're done with them in this room, both of them will be begging for mercy at your feet." After the warden left, Veer told Pwek to take off his pants, then stripped him naked and mocked him. After that, their hair was cut, and this was just the beginning. What was about to happen to them next was nothing short of a nightmare, and they would have to live this nightmare every single day now. There was very little space for inmates in this prison, so everyone was kept in one cell like sheep and goats. As night fell, Veer signaled his man, and suddenly all the inmates stood up. One of them came up to Fluke and said, "Come on, get up, boss wants you for something." They also told Pwek to come along, but Pwek refused to go. Then, Fluke was forcibly pulled up and made to stand in front of Veer. Poor Fluke was begging them all for mercy with his hands clasped, but no one stepped forward to help him. Veer said, "Don't be afraid, today's your first day. You'll get used to it gradually." Veer gave him two options. In the first option, he made a disgusting demand of Fluke and said, "If you do this, you'll become my property, and if you refuse, I'll make you the plaything of every man here." Fluke was terrified and overwhelmed by this fear. He finally gave in. Meanwhile, everyone started kicking and punching Pwek. They beat the poor guy so badly that he had trouble getting up the next morning. He somehow managed to get up and came to the cafeteria. Everyone's eyes were fixed on him. This prison is divided into several blocks, and each block has its own leader. In Gus's block, a man said, "This is the guy I told you about. He's from your city. We can add him to our gang." When Pwek reached the counter, the cook told him that the food was all gone. "Come back tomorrow." Pwek was ready to eat the burnt food from the bottom of the pot, but as soon as the cook put the leftover food on his plate, Pwek immediately grabbed his hand because he was trying to knock his food off. Pwek asked, "Why are you guys doing this to me?" To which the cook replied, "If you stick your nose into everything, you'll have to pay the price." Just then, Veer got up, came to Pwek, and knocked his food onto the ground. Gus's man thought, now he's definitely going to fight. But Pwek did nothing, and quietly picked up the food from the ground and started eating. Everyone thought he was crazy. But Gus said, he did the right thing. If I were him, I'd do the same, because if he doesn't eat, he'll starve to death. After this, all the inmates are taken to shower. Pwek was quietly showering when Veer and his men surrounded him. Veer said, "What do you think? You'll just keep using everything for free here while we just watch? Everything here has a price." They told Pwek to get down on his knees, but when he refused, they forced him. According to their rules, Pwek had to take 5 kicks. The first kick was given by Beer. Then he called Fluke over and told him to hit him. When Fluke refused, they threatened him that if he didn't hurt Pew, he'd get the same punishment as this boy. Fluke finally had to do what they said, but he really didn't want to hurt Pew too badly, so he just kicked him lightly. Now there were only 2 kicks left, and Beer didn't want Pew to escape, so he ordered his guy to hit him. Pew realized this time it was going to hurt a lot, so he tried to protect himself. Seeing his courage, Beer got even angrier and joined his men to beat him up all over again. Pew blacked out for a while, and everyone just left him lying there. After that, we see a flashback showing little Pew. He was boxing to earn some money. When he came home all bruised, his mom asked why he had to do all this. Pew said that because she sells drugs, everyone makes fun of him. He said he didn't want to grow up living off drug money too. Then the story jumps back to the present. The warden picked Pew up and told him, "I want you out in 5 minutes, or if I have to come back, you'll be even worse off." Fluke was standing there waiting for him. He walked up to Pew and apologized. It was the first time they learned each other's names, and Fluke even gave him an orange to eat. Meanwhile, the warden told Beer that he was making things harder for him. When Beer found out Fluke went in to give Pew an orange, he got super mad at him. The warden said, "Finish whatever you want to do before my cigarette burns out. After that, I'm going to sound the alarm." As soon as the warden left, Beer started beating up Fluke. Everyone else stood behind watching silently as he got hurt, but no one stepped in to help. When Hugh saw Fluke getting beaten, he jumped in and yelled, "If you're so tough, then fight me." Peak kicked one of the guys so hard that he passed out. Before things could get any worse, Gulf stepped between them and said, "That's enough. Stop it right now." He actually wanted to recruit them into his own block, but Beer said it wouldn't be that easy because those 2 were his prey. A little while later, Gus arrived and stood right in front of Beer. After some tense arguing, Beer finally agreed to let one of them go. Then Gulf chose Pew. Now Pew had officially joined their gang, and touching him meant fighting the whole crew. That night, while everyone was asleep, Gus noticed that Pew was still awake. Pew asked why he saved him but left his friend with those monsters. Gus replied that Pew wasn't like his friend. His friend isn't stubborn. He'll just do whatever they say and somehow survive. But you wouldn't last a week with them. Then Pew thanked him for saving his life. Gulf handed him a wooden knife and said, "I made this myself. If you ever need it, use it." That night, Pew finally slept peacefully. But for Fluke, it was a nightmare. For helping Pew, Beer and his buddies beat him all night until he got really sick. The next morning, when all the inmates were brought outside, Gulf noticed Pew was still lying there. They tried to wake him up, but he didn't move. For a moment, they thought maybe Pew was dead, but then he suddenly sat up and held the knife to Gulf's neck. When Pew realized where he was, he remembered he wasn't among those monsters anymore. After that, we see Pew's life slowly getting better. He started feeling happier with these new people around him. Sometimes 10 would even share his food with him, and having enough to eat helped him recover fast. Meanwhile, Fluke's luck wasn't as good as Pew's. Beer and his gang kept mentally tormenting him every single day. It looked like Fluke was about to break at any moment. A few days later, Parr came to visit Pew. Seeing her brought a small smile back to Pew's face. But he had no idea that this little happiness wouldn't last long. Parr told him that his mom had passed away. She took her last breath right there in prison. Hearing that, Pew's eyes filled with tears. He couldn't stop himself and started crying hard. Parr said, "I only came to tell you her funeral is over, and from now on, I won't be visiting you anymore." Pew said, "You're the only person I have left in this world. Please don't leave me." There were tears in his eyes, but she didn't look back and quietly walked away. Meanwhile, we see Gus talking with his father. He told him, "I've arranged school and a job for you. Once you're out of here, you'll get to live a normal life again." Gus had been locked up for over 10 years, and he just wanted a fresh start with his dad. But as soon as he found out his dad was still living with his stepmom, he just exploded with anger. He didn't say a word, just got up quietly and left. Pew was trying to get over his own problems when he suddenly saw Beer trying to attack Golf. He jumped in to save him, but then the warder showed up and told everyone to get on the ground. Beer's actions were really getting out of hand, and the tension between the two blocks just kept growing. Gus told him, "If you keep this up, I'm gonna have to do something about you." But that's exactly what Beer wanted. He wanted them to fight and finally figure out who was tougher. That same night, while everyone was sleeping, Beer and his friends went over to Flu. He stared him down and said, "I don't need this anymore. Do whatever you want with him." For Flu, things had officially gone too far. He tried to fight back, but that just made the others angrier, and then they all took turns raping him. Inside those 4 prison walls, humanity just completely broke down. Flu kept screaming for help, calling out for the warder again and again, but no one came to his aid. He was left lying half dead on the stairs, like a cold, lifeless body. But then he overheard Beer and his friends talking about grinding a blade into powder to put in Pew's food the next day. The next day, they teamed up with the cook to pull off their plan, and now all they had to do was wait. Gus's group always ate together, so it wasn't guaranteed that Pew would be the one to get the blade-laced food. Beer said, "It doesn't matter who dies, as long as someone dies today." Finally, when the plate landed in Pew's spot, Flu snatched it away before he could even take a bite and ate all the food himself. The blade tore through his throat and went all the way to his stomach, causing him to writhe in agony. Pew tried to save him, but Gus explained that it would only make him suffer more, and they couldn't save him. His death ramped up the tension between the two groups, and Gus finally agreed to a gang war. They picked tomorrow for the fight, when the warder and the rest of the guards would be busy with other stuff. Pew was deep in regret over his friend's death and wasn't talking to anyone, but he was told that what's done is done, and you can't change it. Tomorrow, it could be me or anyone else here, so whose deaths will you regret? After this, everyone gathered on the ground. Gus waited for Beer for a long time, but when they didn't show up, they thought maybe he got scared, but that wasn't it. Golf saw that he was heading their way. Everyone pulled out their weapons and attacked each other. Gus attacked Beer, but it didn't do anything because he was wearing something underneath. After that, he stabbed Gus multiple times. Hearing their screams, the guards immediately hit the alarm, and the warder came to break up the fight. He beat everyone with a stick, one by one, but no one would say who started the fight. Finally, everyone was sent back to their blocks. Pock saw that Gus was sleeping covered in a blanket, even though it was so hot. When he touched Gus's forehead, he found he had a really high fever. As soon as they saw his injury, they started screaming for help. Something sharp was stuck in his stomach. Golf tried to pull it out, but the pain was unbearable for Gus. Meanwhile, Pew kept begging for help, but everyone was deliberately ignoring him. Gus knew he didn't have much time left. He looked at Pew and said, "These people are just like us. They don't have a home or a family either. After I'm gone, they're all counting on you, so take care of them." That night, Gus took his last breath, and silence fell over everything. When Gus's dad found out his son was gone, he completely broke down. They had waited 10 years for him to be released, and when Gus was just days away from getting out, these monsters killed their son. To avenge Gus's death, they both went to kill Beer, but were caught on the spot. Beer could have finished Pew right then and there, but he gave him an option. He said, "If you want to kill me, you'll have to fight me for it." He was sure that Pew wouldn't have the guts. But Pew looked him dead in the eyes and accepted his challenge. Golf picked tomorrow for the fight, and even said that if Pew loses, he can kill him too. That evening, Pew got ready for the fight. As he was sharpening his blade, he told Golf he'd heard that people about to die always think of their mothers. Does he think he's going to die tomorrow?
Because he's really missing his mom. Golf told him not to overthink it. They'd deal with whatever happened tomorrow. Besides, he was gonna die in 11 days anyway. The next day, everyone showed up to watch their fight. Golf told Beer to take off his clothes, because he figured out Beer was cheating, right? Beer asked, "Who told you about this? Did Gast's ghost visit last night? In your dreams?" As soon as he got the blade, he lunged at Puke. He was totally sure he'd kill him. Meanwhile, Puke's fear was slowly taking over him. His fear shot up after the first stab. He tried to fight back many times, but he wasn't as good as Beer at this bloody game. His panic was obvious with every move he made. Finally, he pulled his blade back and remembered when he used to box, how his mind worked before every punch, not just his hands. As soon as he got a chance, he quickly attacked Beer's leg. Beer stumbled, and as soon as he hit the ground, Puke relentlessly stabbed him in the stomach multiple times. Beer's friend tried to help, but Gulf pushed him back hard. Finally, Puke choked him, taking his last breath too. A little while later, the guards came and told everyone to go to their cells. The warden beat all three with sticks and angrily said, "You filthy drain worms! When you don't even care about your own lives, how can you expect us to care about you?" After beating them, he locked both of them in their cells. Gulf said, "Don't overthink it. We didn't do anything wrong. His death actually made life here easier." The next morning, when Gulf opened his eyes, he saw Puke had been awake all night, staring outside. A little while later, the warden came, but his vibe was totally different this time. He brought them food, and it was super delicious too. He said, "If you want to keep eating food like this, you'll have to leave this place. As long as you're here, your life isn't going to get any better." The warden took them outside and told them they were being transferred to different prisons where life was 1,000,000 times better than here. Gulf and Puke thanked the warden for his kindness, and as they were getting into the car, they looked at each other one last time, silently saying goodbye in their heads. Puke had learned a lot about life by staying there, but now he had to serve the rest of his sentence alone. The warden had sent them off, hoping their lives would be better in the new prison. But how true that was, only time would tell once they got there. Hope you guys liked this story. Let us know in the comments if you want to see more prison movies like this. Your suggestions totally motivate us to keep making more videos like this. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.